the captions thing, there's a couple other things that I'm going to try with y'all this evening. So I think I have a better setup kind of for the notes and talking to you and keeping an eye on the chat and everything for tonight. And we're going to have a couple activities that we're going to do together as a group that should be pretty fun as well. But for now, let's see this one and that, and then this one, and this one, and then this. All right, so can everybody see our Google Classroom okay? All right, perfect. Thanks,
Yes.
Fernanda. Thanks, guys. All right,
Yeah.
so today, so as always, I'm recording our meeting. And so after it finishes our notes today and I get the video prepared and uploaded, it'll go right into this section of the class notes and videos. So today is the final day of kind of our welcome week of term 1. And so today we're going to be getting a little bit into some of our kind of scientific thinking. So looking at how do scientists get information about the world around them. And so we'll talk about making observations. We'll talk about how to use those observations to make inferences. And I'll go over the assignment of those mystery footprints that got posted up earlier today. All right, where's the... There it is. And then we come down here. All right, so to finish off week 1, we're going to think like a scientist. We're going to talk a little bit about how scientists make observations about the world around them. So either in the chat or out loud over your microphone, I want you guys to tell me, what does it mean to observe something? So when you hear the term observation, or when you hear somebody say, oh, I observed this yesterday, what does that mean to you?
I think this mean somebody for a group look.
Yeah, so somebody looking
something
at something
and
or seeing something.
observation and look something and write observation.
Yep, that is definitely a type of observation. Looking or seeing something is
Yes.
a great way to observe something. Are there any other ways that you can observe stuff in your environment?
Take notes.
So recording, so not just seeing it, but also writing down what it is. Can you only observe by seeing? Are there other things that you can observe about your environment, even if your eyes are closed?
Smell, touch.
Yeah, exactly. You can smell if there's something that smells kind of weird in your house. Your nose is going to pick up on it. You can feel if something is hard or soft or is really smooth or rough. All of those are examples of observations.
Yes.
So in science, when we talk about observing things, we talk about using one or more of all 5 of your senses information. So you sort of mentioned looking, using our sight earlier, which for humans is kind of like our go-to way of interacting with the world. We use sight, we use vision in order to make the most out of the information around us. Exactly. But like Fernando was saying, you can also hear stuff like you guys, even if you aren't looking at me, you can hear my voice over your computer speaker right now. You can taste, you can smell, you can touch something. So all 5 senses are involved when it comes to making observations. Even if your eyes are closed, you can still observe things about the world around you. So in science, we have our 5 different senses and our 5 different ways of observing something. But we have 2 main types of observations that scientists classify. The first type is called quantitative observations. Are observations dealing with numbers and amounts. So any observation where you are counting something or measuring something, be a quantitative observation. So like the fact that there are 10 blocks in this little picture down here, or that the computer that you all are watching me present on weighs probably about 2 pounds. Or if you go to the store and you buy 5 bananas and a pound of oranges and a 2-liter bottle of Coke, those are all quantitative observations because they all have numbers associated with it. So how heavy something is, or how tall something is, how far you went, how much space something takes up, how many of something there is. Any observation that has a number with it is a quantitative observation.
Okay.
Quantity is like amount. Like if you're going to the store to buy a certain quantity of bananas, that's how many, that's the number or the amount of bananas that you're going to buy. So quantitative means numbers.
Okay.
On the flip side of that, if you have an observation that does not require a number, you have what is called a qualitative observation. So a qualitative observation is an observation that involves descriptions, but not numbers. So color is a great example of a qualitative observation. This little color wheel on it has green and blue and purple and red and orange and yellow, and it's on the white background of the slide. And the top of the slide has some blue and some purple and pink in it. All of those are qualitative observations. They're all things that you can see or observe with your senses, but not focused on a number. So not just color and sight is an example of qualitative observations, but also touch. So like the table that my computer is sitting on is very smooth on top and it's very hard, right? It's not soft. Smell or taste, things can smell or taste really sweet or really sour or really salty or really spicy. Those would all be qualitative observations. So when you observe something with your senses, but it's not using a number or an amount. So like if you hear a loud siren off in the distance and it's really loud and it's really bright lights, those would be qualitative observations. But if you look at the traffic app on your phone and it says there's an accident 1.2 miles away from you, that would be a quantitative observation. Right? So quantitative, numbers, amounts, measurement, anything that has a number in front of it is going to be quantitative observation. Whereas on the flip side, qualitative observation, descriptions, feels, smells, tastes, these are all qualitative. So they describe a quality of that object, of that thing that you are observing. That's why they're called qualitative observations. So quantitative is numbers, it's quantity. Qualitative is description, it's quality. Any questions so far on our 2 different types of observation? you.
Oh, this.
All right. So up next, I'm gonna try to do something kind of cool with you guys. One of the other cool things about Google Meet is that it lets us, in the middle of a meeting, open up a shared whiteboard called a Jamboard. So if you look in the chat, I just posted a link to something called a Jamboard that I will show you on screen here in a second. There we go. So a Jamboard is basically a shared whiteboard that we can all write on. So the easiest way to write on the Jamboard is to come to the little lines over here, the tabs over here on the left. There's a pointer, there's an eraser, there's a pen, but the easiest one to use is the sticky note. So you click on the sticky note, you can change colors of it, and then type whatever you want. So in this case, what I want you to do on your sticky notes is write one quantitative and one qualitative observation about the room that you are in. When you're done writing your sticky note, you click on Save. And post your note on the board and bring up a new one. But if you don't want to write a second one, you just click off of it and go back to the board. So if you can get on the Jamboard, and go ahead and use the sticky notes to write down your quantitative or qualitative observations. Is anybody having any issues opening up the Jamboard?
Excuse me, can I again, please?
So, Yusra, if you open the chat, if you open the text chat, it should be one of the tabs. That looks like a little square with lines in it. Then you should be able to click on that link that's in the chat and open up click on the link, and it should take you directly to the Jamboard. It looks like I might have to adjust the sharing settings. Hold on really quick. Change. Anyone with the link can edit.
Okay.
Okay. Try refreshing now. I just changed the thing. All right, if you're on your phone, it might have you download an app in order to get on to the Jamboard. If you're having trouble opening the Jamboard, you can also just type your observations directly into the chat if you want. All right. Hey, Anna, you got in. Thanks. Good job.
I don't know.
Yusra, were you able to figure out how to get to the link in the chat?
Okay, can I tell my son help me about that?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
So Yusra, the chat is, if you're on the computer, the chat is the little box with the 3 lines up at the top of the screen.
Okay. Okay, he's here.
All right, so if you open up the chat at the top of the screen, it's the box with the 3 little lines in it. There should be a link in there for the Jamboard.
You said the chat?
Mm-hmm.
The Jamboard, google.com?
Yeah. Hey, there you go, Yusra.
Okay.
That's all?
Yeah, and then the sticky notes are over on the left-hand side and that little bar over there, right under the select button, the pointer button.
Okay. Not دسينا من English كتبين في شي لحظة.
Okay.
معلش ما تتش. كتبين خطين.
Oh, awesome. There's Desiree too. All right. So once you get in, use the sticky notes to write one quantitative and one qualitative observation about the room that you're in.
يوم ترى هنا. ها؟ لا. الناس كتبين يقول شيء كتبين.
And there we go.
لما هناك كتبين تستعمل هذا كتبين. مو صعبة. يكون كتبين ولا لا؟ بالنص. إيه. شوفي.
صح.
مش هنا كتبين. كتبين هنا. كتبين عشرين كتبين.
بعد ما كده.
قلوتش هذا السؤال.
All right. Ooh, awesome.
تكتبين شوف من كتبين تروح هنا هاي بس عادي وتكتبين هنا
يلا تكتبي على السريع.
انت كتبين هذا انت تكتبين ترى مو شقة انتم بعد تستعمل ديش ناس
كاميرا ما تكتب هاي.
Ooh, excellent. go. Nice. All right, we're just doing this for fun, so I'll give you guys 1 or 2 more minutes if you want to finish off the observations that you're working on. But it looks like we got some really good ones in here so far, which is awesome. Alrighty, guys. Well, these are some great observations that we got going on in here. Let's see. We got Fernando, who's in the classroom, says that there is a TV in front of him, which is correct. That's if you ever see me kind of looking up to the side, that's because there's a big TV right up here in front of me. So that's a good qualitative observation, right? It's descriptive, but it is not a number or an amount or anything like that. Oh, and red microwave too. Good qualitative observation. A couple of yellow ones right here. My desk is really smooth and cold. So cold is an example of a touch observation also. And then, so that's another good qualitative. And then there are 2 doors in this person's bedroom. So counting the amount of doors makes it a quantitative observation. We got a great example right here. There are 6 chairs in this person's kitchen, which is a good quantitative observation. And then they are all white chairs, which is a qualitative observation. Great job. And then here, I like this person's very descriptive. So this person's in a car, and so it's having to improvise a little bit. And they see a street sign that says exit 289. So the fact that that is the 289th exit for that road is a great quantitative observation. And then the fact that there is an orange colored cone nearby to them is a perfect qualitative observation. And then Paula mentions in the chat that she can see that her kid has red shoes on, which is another example of a great qualitative observation. So you guys seem to have gotten it pretty well. Quantitative is all about numbers, counting, amounts, measurements, whereas qualitative is descriptions, colors, temperatures, so saying cold or hot is qualitative. But if you said it's 75 degrees or it's 42 degrees, then that would be a measurement, which would make it quantitative. So good job on that. So we're not 100% finished with the Jamboard quite yet. We'll come back to it in just a second. But we're going to switch back to our notes briefly. All right, so good job. Great job on y'all's observations. So we've made our observation, we've seen the things that are around us, or we've felt them or smelled them. But when we use those observations to try to explain what's going on in our world, that is called an inference. So inference is an explanation or a sort of an educated guess about the things that you are observing. So we take all of our observations and we use them to make an inference. So inferences can be based on past experience and things that we've learned and things that we've observed before, so that when we make new observations, we can come up to an explanation about why we are observing those particular things. So, for example, if it's the middle of the day and all of a sudden the sky gets really dark and these really thick clouds move in and it starts looking kind of scary outside and the wind starts picking up, maybe you hear some thunder way off in the distance, you could make the inference that it is going to storm. So we haven't actually observed it storming or raining in our area yet, but we know that when dark clouds come in and the temperature drops and it starts to get windy and we hear thunder off in the distance, when we put all of those observations together, we can infer, or we can make an inference that it's probably going to start storming and raining by us pretty darn soon. So like the example earlier of when I talked about like a ambulance. So maybe you hear an ambulance coming up behind you in the car, and then you see the flashing lights shoot by you on the road. You could infer that there's been some sort of car wreck or accident somewhere up ahead. Haven't seen the car wreck yet. You don't know for sure that it's there, but based on what you know about ambulances and the sounds they make and what they look like, you can infer that that ambulance is going to help somebody that was hurt, possibly in a car wreck. So we use our observations, we use the things that we see, hear, smell, touch, and even taste around us in order to make inferences, in order to try and explain what it is that we're seeing or why we are seeing something in particular. So I want us to do one more thing on the Jamboard. That is, wherever you are right now, even if you already mentioned, like somebody mentioned there in the car, that's okay. But if you blindfolded somebody, took them to the spot where you are sitting, and then took off their blindfold, how could that person know what kind of room that they are in? So how do you know that you are in the bedroom or the kitchen or an office in your house? So we're going to try using the Jamboard one more time. We're not going to use the same tab. We're going to use a new one. And so let me go back to the Jamboard. There we go. Here we go. Oh. So if you look at the top of the Jamboard, there's little arrows next to a 1 of 1 frame. So I'm going to create a new one. So when you go back to the Jamboard, make sure that it is on frame 2. And I want you guys to write out how could one infer the room of the house that you are in based on observations of the stuff around you? So, for example, if there was a sink and a bathtub and a toilet, somebody could infer or make an inference that it is a bathroom. So, if you sat somebody down in your house that had never been there before, how could they figure out what room you took them to based on the stuff that is around you? So remember, the easiest way to do this is to use the little sticky notes, which are in the little box over on the left-hand side here. And again, if you're having trouble getting into the Jamboard or it's not working for you, you can also write down your observations and inferences in the chat as well. All right, and again, make sure that you're writing it on the second part of the Jamboard. So you just click the little sideways arrow up here at the top.
I'm thinking like a desk and chair, a classroom.
Exactly.
That sounds good.
Yeah, precisely.
Easier, right?
Yeah, see, yeah, it's not hard. Yeah, Fernando was just saying that he was looking around here and he could see desks and chairs, and there's some textbooks back in the back corner. So he was able to figure out that this is, in fact, a classroom. Oh, perfect. Very nice yellow sticky note. So yellow sticky note person says that they have drawers and pillows and a bed and blankets near them. Means that if you just walked into that room, you could probably infer that it is a bedroom that they are in. All right. Ooh, very nice, Fernando. Perfect. Ooh, nice. A lot of really good ones coming up. All right, so I'll give you guys 1 or 2 more minutes to finish up your current set of observations about which room you are in. Very nice.
Excuse me, teacher. I
Yes.
I write first question about the room I are in. The second question I write another room.
So I think you guys mostly got it with the first question there. I think is your
Yeah, first question
the first
I
page.
write. Yes.
Oh, okay, I got it. I see you. I see what you mean.
And the second question I write another room. Mm.
What highway means?
Big road
Big road.
like 183 or I-85. Those are highways. Alrighty, guys. Well, if you're still working on that second sticky note, that's okay. It looks like we got some really great examples in here. So somebody has some plates, some spoons and forks, and some cups around them, which leads to their inference of being in the kitchen. Excellent example. And then, oh, we got our person in the car says that they've got highways and there's other cars and there's looking right in front of them, they've got a little radio dial. So, yep, that would infer that you're in a car or you're on the street somewhere. And then if you're by a washing machine or the dryer, then I would definitely suspect that you are in the laundry somewhere. Oh, yep, if you're in the kitchen, you're going to see a lot of tables, chairs, and placemats around you. So yeah, these are all excellent examples of how observations of the area around you can lead you to an inference. So even if I had never been to any of your houses before, I bet if you took me to where you wrote this sticky note and had me open my eyes and look around, I could pretty quickly infer which type of room I was in based on what I was seeing around me. Exactly. Great work, everyone. Thank you. And thanks for going along with the Jamboard. I might try it once in a while along the way, just because it makes it a little bit more interactive. And so it's not just me sitting here talking and you guys sitting there, maybe sometimes listening. But for now, we will go ahead and jump back to our notes, because now is when we're going to put our observation and inference skills to the test. Okay. So, as some of you may have seen already, there was an assignment that I posted up earlier today called Mystery Footprints, where there was a series of 3 images, and for each image, I want you to use your powers that we've been developing today and make 3 observations and 1 inference for each picture, for each image. So it's a set of 3 images of different footprints. And so for each picture, I want you guys to write down 3 observations and 1 inference for your assignment. And so if you haven't seen them before, the 3 different pictures look like this. We have our first picture right here. Then our second picture looks something like this. And our third picture looks a little bit like this. So the way that you can complete this assignment, there's actually 2 different ways that you can do it. So under the Thursday assignment section, you can do the Google form version, which if you're on your phone is probably the easier version to do. And it also has the pictures on there already for you. So it has the first picture and then 1, 2, 3 observations and a section for the inference. And then the second picture, observations and inference. And then the third picture, observations and 1 inference. Or if you like writing stuff out a little bit more, you can also do the Google Doc worksheet, where you have to go back to the notes in order to look at the pictures. They're not directly on the worksheet itself. But the same thing goes. So for each image, you'll write down 3 observations and 1 inference on the worksheet. So I figure since you guys have stuck with me throughout today, and some people have already done it, which is totally fine. If after today you realize that you want to make some adjustments to it, like you didn't quite do it right the first time, you're more than welcome to go back and put in a new set of answers if you think you can come up with something better than you did at first. But since you guys are here with me today, I figure we'll go ahead and as a group, do the first image together. So as a group, we'll talk about some observations and some inferences that we can make on the first image. The main thing to remember for this assignment is that an observation is only something that you can physically see on the picture. So since these are pictures, we can't touch or taste or smell them. We can only look at them. And so the observations should be only things that you can tell and see by looking at the picture. Whereas your inference is something that you think is happening based on what you were looking at in the picture. And the only thing going into these pictures that we know is that the things we're looking at are footprints. But that is all that we are told. If we look at our first image here, we've got just this one kind of big rectangular image. So what are some, feel free to either share out loud or write it down in the chat. What are some things that you guys can observe about this first image?
Color blue.
Yep, so Fernando points out that we have one set of, to some people they're blue, to me they look green. But one set of green footprints and one set of red footprints. So Fernando's pointing out we have two different colors of footprints. One set is green, one set is red. Norberto, that is actually not an observation. We're going to get to that later. Remember, observations are things that we can see just by looking at the picture. So we'll come back to what Norberto said in a little bit. But any other observations besides just the color of the footprints? What else can you see about them?
The signs.
Hmm?
Sign.
Okay, I see different footsteps.
Yep, so they're different shapes.
Red and green. Yes.
Red and green, exactly.
Like sign of two different type of animals.
They're going towards each other?
Yep, so the footprints are pointed in the direction of each other, right? They're not going away from each other.
Yes.
Paula actually took the time to count. So she made a quantitative observation, how there's 13 green footprints. So that is a great example of an observation. What else? Are the sizes of the footprints the same?
Different
One small,
size.
big.
Exactly. One is small, so the red ones are smaller, and the green
Smaller, yes.
are
Green,
You gonna share
bigger.
Oh, that's okay. Do you have the charger for it?
I don't know.
Okay, we can check with Mr. Maya after this. We're almost done anyways. Okay, so yes, exactly. Smaller red footprints, larger green footprints, 13 of the green, thanks to Paula. So all of these are great examples of observations. These are things that we can see by looking at the image. So there's green and there's red. There's bigger and there's smaller. These ones are a different shape than these ones. All of those are great observations. So the first comment that Norberto made in the chat of it looks like two different animals walking on the beach, that is an inference. So that's Norberto's explanation or kind of best guess about what he thinks is going on here. So what about you guys? What are some inferences that you guys have about what is happening in this picture?
They're traveling somewhere.
All right, so you think that they're kind of both walking along to go somewhere specific? That is a great example of an inference. Maybe that's what's happening here. It's definitely one possibility.
They are walking to a party.
Fernando says maybe they're walking to a party. Sure, who knows? That could be an inference. Well, what kind of animals do you guys think made these footprints? All right, Norberto says ducks. Do you guys think that both of these are ducks, or just one of them is ducks, or is neither of them ducks? Is Norberto totally wrong? Fernando agrees with you, Norberto. He says the green is definitely ducks. The red one, I'm not really sure. Maybe it could be like, I don't know, like a mouse maybe? Or like a something with really kind of small, skinny feet, or maybe some other type of little bird. Pala thinks that they're going to the same place, so they're going to meet up on purpose. So yeah, maybe they see each other and they're purposely heading toward each other to meet up. Somebody in my other class, when I went through this, said that they thought that the green ones were trying to, because of these like bigger steps down here, we're trying to like sneak up or creep up on the red ones. So maybe the green one is like a predator or something, and it's to sneak up and eat the red one. Who knows? All of these are equally valid inferences, right? They're all possible just based on looking at the observations we are able to make. So you're going to do basically what we just did for the first image for the next two pictures as well. So for each one, you're going to look at it. You're going to write down 3 observations of what you see, and then you're going to make one inference about what you think is happening, or what is your best explanation based on your observations. All right. So does anybody have any final questions about observations, inferences, or the mystery footprints homework?
So if I already did it and I want to change it, like you said, when I go back to it, it clears it all over. So would you just get 2 different ones? Is that how it works?
Mm-hmm. Yep. It would just submit a new one to me. And when I go to grade it, I only look at the most recent one. So like it'll tell me like Desiree submitted this one earlier, and then a little bit later she went back and submitted this one. I'll only look at the second one for grading.
Awesome, thanks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And yeah, just like I said, and Desiree mentioned, that if you want to go back and change some of your answers or rewrite the assignment, then you're more than welcome to do so. And remember, if you haven't done it yet, since you are here in the Google Meet tonight, you have your attendance for Thursday. And so if you want to wait and do the mystery footprints homework sometime over the weekend, then that is fine as well, since you already got your Thursday attendance for today.